From the Will Rogers Coliseum in Fort Worth, it's world's greatest horseman. 2 women, 9 men, cutting, reining, roping, and the heart-pounding run down the fence. All as COVID continues to take its toll and record winter weather clobbers Texas.
Our pipes froze.
We did run out of water.
How all the hands handled it all and who came out on top just ahead.
Coming up on Your Horse Inside and Out, sponsored by Behringer Ingelheim, we're going to talk about geriatric care of the older horse.
Plus, competition day superstitions. Who has them? Who doesn't? We'll find out here on Horse of the West. Welcome to the DT Horses # World's Greatest Horseman Championship, the hottest ticket in a very cold town. A sellout despite a record cold snap that had 2/3 of Texans without power or water or both.
We did run out of water for the most part in the hotel. We had a trickle of cold, and I brought it's kind of like a coffee pot from home, and because I needed to shape my hat, that's why I brought it. I don't even drink coffee. And I'd fill that every night, and it was an instant heating pot, so I'd heat it up and put it back in the sink, and then you could take a bath for 4 days.
Staying in the motorhome stuff, and our pipes froze, so we had to shower in the locker rooms just behind the Coliseum. But
despite everything, it was a record show for the NRCHA. There were 26 young riders in the Mars Equestrian World's Greatest Youth Horseman, won by Cutter McLaughlin and CD/DVD. There were 58 adult competitors, and show entries were up across the board. Those 58 entries in World's Greatest Horseman are the cream of the NRCHA bridle horses, all many years in the making, guided by the industry's top hands. Many, like Todd Crawford, a $2 million rider and Hall of Fame member, still looking for this buckle of buckles.
There's the roping involved, so there's another element. There's only 10 go to the finals. It's only once a year. It's only one horse. It's one bridle, so it's like, it's really difficult to win. It's really difficult to make the finals is really what it is.
Todd earns a 216.5 in the herd work on Jerry Smoke by Dual R Smokin' out of Cool Aristocat, owned by J5 Horse Ranch Management. A 221 in the steer stopping, which is the second of the 4 World's Greatest events this year due to arena changes caused by COVID-19 restrictions, puts Todd in 8th place after 2. But after a pair of 221s in the rein work and down the fence, Todd Crawford will finish 4th and take home $17,000. NRCHA $1 million rider Chris Dawson of Perrin, Texas, agrees with Todd that making the final in World's Greatest Horseman just keeps getting tougher.
This is the first year that anybody's come here and marked 216s across the board and not made the finals, and there was 9 of them, I think, this year.
Chris says he got a little help from heaven in the roping prelim to make it here.
Drew kind of a soft cow in the roping, and lost my dad a few weeks ago. I'm pretty sure he put my loop back on because I roped that steer on the gain and it come off the right horn, and then it just went back on.
Chris is doing his best to bounce back from the loss of his dad to COVID-19. On a mare he knows well, the 10-year-old he rode to a win in the Bridal Spectacular at the first NRCHA Eastern Derby. This is CSR Lay Down Sally by Dual Spark out of Look at Her Glow, owned by Meredith Graber. Chris will be carrying something special with him today. A gift, he says, is from his dad.
Yeah, he sent me a little present I found in the arena the other day. It's a little good luck elephant I found in the dirt riding around at 3 o'clock in the morning the first day we were here. So
good luck indeed. Chris follows up a solid 219 in the herd work with a big 227 in the steer stopping. That's going to put him in 1st place going into the rein work. Abby Phillips of Weatherford, Texas, and David Burtonshaw's Bedhead Cat got here in 2019 and finished 5th.
I love this event more than any of our other events. The horsemanship that plays into it and the caliber of horses that we have here is amazing. And so to win something like this would top it off, that's for sure.
Abby moves on to the steer stopping after earning a 217 in the herd work on this 11-year-old gelding by Wild-Haired Cat out of Isabel Lena. Abby grew up roping, but she still sweats this event more than the others. Roping here is a little different than the rodeos and jackpots Abby grew up with because it's not based on time. It's judged on the total performance of horse and rider.
You just don't really have to put on a show. You can go out there and rope the steer and go left, and nobody's judging you on that performance. But here, you need to make sure your horse sits in the box quiet and leaves good, and you just have to present a better picture.
Abby picks up a 225 in the steer stopping. She moves on to the rein work with a composite of 442. NRCHA $1 Million rider Zane Davis likes to say this competition should be called World's Greatest Horse, and he's riding one of the great ones, Ruby's Radar by NRCHA $3 Million sire, one-time Pepto out of Ruby Begonia. Zane's been here 3 times on this 11-year-old stallion owned by Billy Filippini. They were reserve champions in 2019. After a 220 in the herd work, Zane and Radar roped their way to a score of 222, putting themselves into a tie for 4th with Abby Phillips and Bedhead Cat. Zane says Radar only shows a few times a year and still seems to enjoy it. Gusty Burger, who has just relocated to Clark, Colorado, finished first in the prelims on Hall of Fame member Annie Reynolds' stallion Magicality by her $2 million sire Very Smart Remedy out of Magical Lena. Gusty says she was a little nervous about coming here in first place, but she holds on to that lead with the top herd work score of the day, a 221.
Yeah, this is my first time making the finals at the World's Greatest, my 3rd time showing here. I showed a mare of my own twice before, and I always had heck in the roping, so I was really pumped about catching and, getting my dally in the roping. Yeah.
So roping's not really something you do all the time?
No, it's not. I actually haven't done it since I showed here last, and that was 3 years ago, and I just had a week to practice to get ready for it.
The roping gives Gusty heck again. 2 missed loops add up to 0 and a composite of 221. NRCHA $1 Million rider Jake Gorrell of Porterville, California, is riding Jim and Gay Versteeg's Dual Checks by NRHA $2 Million sire Dual Ray out of Starlight Checks. Jake's been here many times, but like Zane and Todd, is still hunting his first World's Greatest Championship, and it means a lot.
This is our whole lifestyle. We do all 4 events, which is, at home we rope, we brand our cows, move cows, and do all that kind of stuff. And it's where our whole industry come from. It's, ranch work and who has good horses and who can go get the job done the best. And so it's just one more aspect of what we want our horses to do, and it stems from our heritage.
Jake earns a 216.5 in the herd work on the 11-year-old gelding the Versteegs bought from Zane Davis. They've been calling the horse Idaho until this show.
Zane comes over and he pets him and he says, "Hey, Leroy." And I said, "Hey, Leroy, what do you mean?" He's like, "That's what we called him at home." And I thought, uh-oh. So we switched his name to Leroy while we were here, Gay. And he's marked a 22 and a 26 out, or 22 and a 25 afterwards, so I think I'm calling him Leroy.
Leroy's scores in the final are not quite as high as they were in the prelims. He comes out of the roping in 9th place, so that Leroy name luck is going to need to kick in during the last couple of events. We'll see how it goes for Jake and Leroy and the rest of the finalists when we come back. And never changing a horse's barn name is not the only cowboy superstition in play among these top hands. We'll hear about a couple of others just a bit later. Don't write off. Welcome back to Horse of the West coverage of the 2021 DT Horses # World's Greatest Horseman.
This title is, the epitome of everything, it's exactly what it says. World's Greatest Horseman. It is an extremely tough event to get one horse to do 4 events in the same bridle. It's a tough event, I'm telling you. It really is, but I love it.
Luke Jones of Allerton, Iowa has made the final here multiple times. He earns a 218.5 in the herd work on Kit and Charlie Moncrief's Mr. Comin' In Hot by Mr. Playin' Stylish out of Little Sally Cat. In the roping, Luke draws a steer that cannot make up his mind. Luke still manages to get him roped, though, for a score of 224 even and a composite of 653.5.
He was tricky. I felt like I was kind of pasture roping out there. He was one of the stronger ones, and he run real crooked, but I tell you what, I got to compliment my horse. He stayed right with the steer all the way down and gave me a shot, and it was the only shot I felt like I had, and thank you, Father. It was great.
John Swales of Millerville, Alberta, Canada, is a 2-time champion back this year on the 9-year-old stallion Cat's Picasso by Metallic Cat, owned by Coast Performance Horses.
He's been very nice to get along with his whole life. Very easy to train, super athlete. has been very good in the cutting always for me, has taken to the steer stopping really well for this event, and depending on the cow can be pretty good down the fence.
But in the roping, John makes an illegal head catch, takes a 0, and ends up with a composite of 220.5. Sean Hayes of Nacona, Texas has been second here 2 times, including last year. He is riding another son of Metallic Cat. This one, Moonshine and 2 Advil, is out of Playboy's Vixen and owned by Angela Massey. A 219 in the herd work gets Sean off to a strong start on this 7-year-old gelding. Sean's ridden and trained him throughout his futurity and derby career, and he shows off all that work and his background in roping, putting a 222 on the board in the steer stopping. In the rein work, Sean describes his horse as solid.
He's not more of a reining style horse. I mean, yeah, he can sure run, stop, turn around, but he's not going to, put his head down and on a draped rein and lope circles like that.
Sean and Moonshine and 2 Advil earn a 220.5, which moves them into first place with a 661.5 composite and 1 event to go. But Sean Hayes, of all people, knows
it's never over till it's over.
And here to prove it is Shane Steffen of Powell Butte, Oregon, on a 9-year-old mare named Gonna Be a Smarty by Very Smart Remedy out of Gonna Be Mine. They earn a 219 in the herd.
To look at the horsemen and women and the horse, just the caliber of horses is it's just amazing to me. I mean, there's so many good horses and good horse trainers out there, and to be able to be a part of that and to make the finals is humbling.
Shane was a lifelong team roper, so he's back in his original element during the steer stopping. He gets the horns roped, and the mare owned by McSpider Ranch makes it pretty. Shane earns a 225 from the judges, shooting him into second place after 2.
She just has more try than any horse I've ever ridden. She wants to be correct in everything that she does. If there is a mistake, it's because she's overdoing something or I'm asking too much too quick instead of just trusting her and going with her. So she's been my most consistent horse, just all the way across the board. She just shows up to the party no matter what. So.
In the third event, Shane has a little something to prove for all the years he teased his wife, who was a raider.
She challenged me and said, well, if you think it's so easy, why don't you show me? So I thought, I can do that, and it was a way bigger challenge than I thought.
Shane manages the challenge here in Fort Worth. He'd been worried about rushing the mare, wanted to keep things slow, and he gets it done, earning a 223, which moves them into first by a comfortable 5.5 points. Chris Dawson and CSR Laydown Sally were leading after 2, but a 208.5 in the reining drops them down the board with a 654.5 composite. Abby Phillips and Bedhead Cat stay within striking distance of the leaders with a 218 in the rein work and a 660 composite. Zane Davis was tied with Abby coming out of the roping, and they are still tied. Zane also earns a 218 in the reining on Ruby's radar, but Zane and Abby do manage to move up from 4th to 3rd behind Shane and Sean. But the bovines are running the show from here, and all our heroes know what that means.
You can go from 0 to 0 in just one step out there. You can go from leading it to losing it.
We'll see the conclusion of the 2021 DT Horses # World's Greatest Horseman just ahead. And later, superstitions. Who's got them?
I try not to let those small things bother me.
But there is some fine print to that statement. We'll hear about that a little bit later.
Your Horse Inside and Out with Dr. Joe Carter. Sponsored by Boehringer Ingelheim.
The thing about the horse is that you always fall in love with them, and we've got those old pasture pets, those good friends that we've had for, sometimes decades. And as horses get older, they need to have special care, just like any other kind of animal or even us humans. We need a little variation in our routine, variation in our diet, variation in our care to make sure that we're good and healthy and have a good quality of life. And horses aren't any different. And so when we got old Dottie here, and she's a 30-year-old mare, and so every year I think you should start by talking to your veterinarian about what's going on in your area and how your specific horse's age may impact the care that it might need. It begins with a general physical exam where have your veterinarian listen to your horse's heart. Horses as they get older can develop some cardiac problems like a heart murmur, something good to know. I think it's also good to pull some blood, just like if you went in for your annual physical at the doctor's office, they'd take a blood sample from you, take a blood sample from your older horse and make sure that there's good kidney function and good liver function. If you're starting to see some early signs in that, there are some dietary problems that some diet changes that we can do to address those. Having your horse's teeth examined to make sure they, not losing teeth or have tooth problems. And then going over the diet, there's some specialized, senior horse diets almost all feed companies have right now. So the geriatric or older horse needs special care. Visit with your veterinarian about what might be the best for your horse. And I'm Dr. Joe Carter with Your Horse Inside and Out.
Your Horse Inside and Out is sponsored by Beringer Ingelheim. Before making any decisions about your horse's health, be sure to contact your veterinarian.
Welcome back to Horse of the West coverage of the DT Horses # World's Greatest Horseman Championship. Shane Steffen is up by 5.5 points after going largely mistake-free through the cutting, the reining, and the roping. In this fourth and final event, the other 10 riders need to make big-time runs down the fence and hope Shane draws a bad cow or makes a mistake, or both. Zane Davis and Ruby's Radar are in that group, sitting in a 3-way tie for third. They have made this final 3 times, and Zane says owner Billy Filippini may retire the roan stallion after this.
And he's won over $200,000, and he's done enough. It's just that it would be nice to get a title for him and Mrs. Filippini, I think, more than anything.
But it is not to be. A 2:02.5 gives Zane and Ruby's Radar an 8:62.5 composite for a 9th place finish. Abby Phillips is also in that tie for third on her father Dave Burtonshaw's gelding Bedhead Cat. She'd love for this horse to earn the title.
Do you want it as much for him as you do for you?
Absolutely. Yeah, I want it for him. Yeah.
But a 2:07 down the fence will give Abby and Bedhead Cat an 8:67 composite and 7th place. Sean Hayes was second after 3 events on Angela Massey's 7-year-old gelding Moonshine and 2 Advil. If they can sweep up the championship right here at the end, Sean says the credit will go to his mount.
Yeah, I've been second twice, and I like to get it done. But I think it should be called the world's greatest horse, to be honest with you, instead of the Horseman. But it's a good title.
Sean earns a 2:17 on Moonshine and 2 Advil for a final composite of 8:78.5. Now that means Shane Steffen and Gonna Be a Smarty would need a 2:12 to retake first place. But wait, there is another horse and rider who've been steadily moving up the scoreboard after a slow start in the herd work put them in 10th place. Jay McLaughlin of Clarendon, Texas, and Michelle Cannon's 9-year-old stallion Shiny Outlaw by Shiner's Nickel out of Merida started digging themselves out with a big 2:27 in the steer stomping.
It's pretty fun to teach how to rope, and he was always eager to learn something new, and of course we doctor cows in the pasture and everything else on him too, and then his fence work's always been fairly strong,
Then a 2:21 in the rein work put Jay and Shiny Outlaw right back in the thick of things, just a 1.5 back from Sean Hayes in that 3-way tie for third. Now down the fence, Jay and Shiny Outlaw can move ahead of Sean into first with a score of 219 or better. The word from the judges, a 222, which will give Jay McLaughlin a composite of 882 and sole possession of first in what he says is the most important championship in the NRCHA.
It's everything to the sport. That's what we strive to get is the bridle horses.
So now Shane Steffen needs a 215 or better to win back the lead on Linda McMahon's 9-year-old mare, Gonna Be a Smarty. Shane says his challenge, and it's a tough one with a sellout crowd and a $50,000 first place prize on the line, is to hold his nerves in check and keep things slow.
If I push and rush, then she's gonna say, let's go. If I slow down and am more methodical about things, then she's right there with me, and she's gonna do whatever I ask.
Shane manages his mare beautifully and has enough cow to show her off. He needs a good run to win it, but they make a great run. Shane and Gonna Be a Smarty earn a 227 to give them a final composite of 894 and the 2021 World's Greatest Horseman Championship. When it was all over, Shane spoke with NRCHA's Russell Dilday.
Tell us a little bit about the overwhelming emotion that's going on right now.
It's, I thank the Lord because he blessed me with such a great mare that if I could actually stay out of her way and help her and not get in too big a hurry, she's going to do whatever I ask. And she just is an amazing mare, how she tries her hardest in everything that we do.
And Linda McMahon at home, wish you best of luck. I bet she'd love to hear a shout out.
Thank you, Linda. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be traveling down this road, so thank you so much.
Jay McLaughlin and Michelle Cannon's Shiny Outlaw ride away with the 2021 Reserve Championship. When we come back, which rider decided to wear his old Rios of Mercedes boots in the championship instead of his brand new ones? We'll find out about that and some other Cowboy superstitions right after this. Welcome back to Horse of the West, coming to you from Fort Worth, Texas, and the NRCHA World's Greatest Horseman Championship. Cowboys can be a superstitious crew, so we asked a few about theirs. Like the one about not wearing anything new in a competition.
And in fact, I come here, went over and bought some new boots from Rios. I got brand new Rios and they're so comfortable. I'm like, I can handle it, I'll do it. I put my old one back on.
Are you superstitious at all?
No.
And any superstitions I might have, I shoot them down quick.
Oh yeah, no, we try to make sure we eat beef before we cut, and yeah, I mean, no hats on the bed, things of this nature. My wife's breaking me of that because I've tried to keep her from it, and like I say, I think she's shown me that maybe the hat on the bed is not really a real thing because she's constantly throwing her hat on the bed, and she married me for crying out loud, so she's pretty lucky.
In response to that, Chris Dawson's wife Sarah says she may have to rethink throwing her hat on the bed after all. You can find more Horse of the West content on our YouTube channel and be sure to subscribe. Here on RFD TV in the weeks ahead, look for barrel racing from RFD TV, the American Rodeo 2021, and the National Reining Breeders' Classic. I'm Jennifer Reynolds. We'll see you then.